Hi YouTube. I recently released a video where I made a Pack-a-Punch machine in Halo Infinite Forge. Now I posted the video and the response was very good, so I thought I'd do a follow-up and sort of show you how it works, as well as a new version that's currently sort of work in progress, but it's pretty much there. So if you've not seen the previous video, essentially what the Pack-a-Punch machine does is if you feed any weapon into it, it will convert it to a campaign or legendary variant of that weapon. So for the first iteration, I wanted to have a little bit of fun with it. So let's say, for example, you put in an assault rifle. It'll despawn the weapon there. You'll get an assault rifle back, but it'll have commando bullets and commando ammo, essentially. And if you put in the sidekick, we get back a BR sidekick. And this works for every base weapon in the game right now. It doesn't work for legendary variants because, well, there's no point. You'd be converting it to a legendary variant anyway. But yeah, that's fine. Now, following on from that, I've also made sort of a second version. This one in red to differentiate it. Now, this will, when you feed in a base weapon, it'll just give you the campaign variant of that particular weapon rather than some weird mismatches or weird combinations. So if you feed in an assault rifle, it will give you the long shot assault rifle, as you can see. And if you feed in the sidekick, you'll get the striker sidekick. And, if you feed in a rocket launcher, you get the M41 tracker, which is essentially the same, but it locks on, for if you don't know. Now, I'm going to show you the script brains to sort of show you how it works. Just to preface this, I've put the first one on Halo Waypoints and on the content browser, so you can download this yourself and bookmark it if you want to put it on your own map. The only thing I've noticed is I don't know if it's a weird bug with Forge at the moment, but when you first spawn it in, for a brief moment it'll treat the script brains and all the lighting and effects and stuff as a physics object, so it seems to do some weird stuff with it, so you might have to just ungroup it and put it back into place. But anyway, let's show you how it works. So in the first script brain, you can see it's quite complex, but we'll start from the beginning. So we've got an object reference here. That references the switch, the Forerunner terminal there. When that object is interacted with by the player, it then creates this chain which starts from the very bottom here. So it's comparing here. Oh yeah, so before we get to that, actually, so firstly what it'll do it'll find out what weapons the player has. It'll then convert that to a weapon type to be used later, and it'll also create a UI message that we're going to use, which shows the sort of artifact upgrade thing. So then if we go down to the bottom here, this is sort of the start of the chain. So it's comparing, so we're feeding in the assault rifle here into this, and it's comparing whether the player has the same weapon as is shown here. Then if it does, it's going to drop the player's assault rifle. It's going to push that UI message to the player. It's going to wait 5 seconds, because that's sort of what a Pack-a-Punch machine does anyway. And then it's going to give the player a new weapon. And the cool part is, for the weapon type, we're feeding in this variable here called a weapon type variable. It's a combination one. With this, you can combine one weapon with another. Now, so far, you cannot combine a base weapon with a base weapon. I don't know if that's something they're planning to add in the future. But yeah, you can only do it with sort of campaign/legendary variants of weapons at the moment. So I can combine the MA40 assault rifle with the long shot, or I can combine it with Bulldog if I want, or if I want to be really OP, I can combine it with a rocket launcher, which leads to some proper chaos. And then at the end, we're giving players full ammo because, why not at the end of the day. Now, if it compares what the player's holding with this and it's not the same, it'll then go up the chain to the next one. So is it a sidekick? And it'll evaluate if it's a sidekick, and if it is, then it'll give it to the player. If not, it'll then move up to the BR. Is it a BR? And then so on and so forth. And every single sort of chain here is exactly the same. And then at each point, we're evaluating if it is that weapon. If it's not, we're going up the chain again, and so on and so forth. Now, there are multiple script brains to handle this, and this is because, I don't know if it's a bug or something else, again, Forge is in open beta, but once you place so many of these nodes, it starts to get a little bit confused. And so, for example, this one's moved down here for some reason, so whenever I spawn new nodes in, it seems to mess up the order of things and everything. So hence, I've created sort of multiple script brains to sort of handle this instead. So as you can see, this one, there's a lot less of these branches, but they basically all do the same thing here. And this one's got a few more, but again, the same thing. Now, one other interesting thing I found is traits. Now, I sort of made an attempt to try and balance some of them a bit because they were a bit ridiculous, and some were just underpowered. So, for example, if we go into the first one and look at the BR, again, this is sort of left over from the old one. I've yet to sort of take this one out. But when I combined the BR with, like, the Convergence Shotgun, for example, the Convergence Bulldog, the damage was a little bit nuts. It would sort of insta-kill anyone. So I put on a damage modifier, which gets added to the player once this old branch gets triggered, and that turns down the damage. And alternatively, there are some that turn up the damage. So, for example, I think at one point I had the rocket launcher combined with the Hydra, and the Hydra, obviously, the bullets for that, or the rockets or whatever, don't do as much damage, so turn up the damage there. And then there was another interesting one where, with the Energy Sword and Gravity Hammer, I think just the Energy Sword in this case, I wanted to try and combine it with a Gravity Hammer, with the Diminisher of Hope. That didn't really work too well. It didn't really do anything cool. So I thought I'd add some traits to the player to sort of make it a bit more enjoyable. So that you've got, in particular, this sword one here. So it's increasing their slide speed and giving them a little bit of active camo to sort of make it a bit more unique, if that makes sense. So that's that for those three main script brains that handle the actual weapon configurations themselves. Then we have this script brain here, and essentially what this is doing is it's deleting any weapons that get placed into the Pack-a-Punch machine, essentially, because without this script brain, if you activated the switch, your dropped weapon would remain on the ground, and we don't want that because we'll just end up having hundreds of weapons all over this place if loads of players start using it all at the same time. So that's what that script brain does. And this one here is just a nav marker script brain, so it just shows where the machine is on the map at all times. Now, this can be turned off. You just delete the script brain and it's got no nav marker then. Pretty straightforward, that one. But yeah, that is my Pack-a-Punch machine. That's a little bit of insight into how it works. I wanted to make this sort of lore accurate, so it would sort of fit into the design of Halo a bit more. I know someone in the leaked build made like a proper Pack-a-Punch machine that looks like a Pack-a-Punch machine, and that's great. I don't I don't have the patience for that. I am a software developer, sort of IRL, and my interest is more in scripting. I'm really not sort of a prop maker or a map maker of any sort. I just like scripting, and I felt that Halo Infinite's Forge is something that's just sort of clicks with me, with the scripting part in anyway. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or any suggestions, again, feel free to let me know. I might make future updates to this again. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see more Halo Infinite scripting stuff like this, and see you later.